Extend your winning streak with the Yonex VCore 100 Plus 2023. With an extra ½ inch of length, the Yonex VCore 100 Plus delivers unparalleled power and reach on every shot. The racket features the same new updates as other members of the VCore family that launched earlier in 2023, including a slightly softer feel and a restructure of the frame's geometry both in the upper hoop and shaft for more power and stability. Another new technology upgrade from the previous generation to note is the SIF grommets for better snapback and ball rotation. I was a big fan of the VCore 100 that launched earlier this year. In fact, it's probably my favorite racket of 2023. And when I first got this extended length racket on court, I did have a bit of an adjustment period, mostly because of the extended length. But after several weeks of hitting, what I noticed is that this racket is a monster. Now from the baseline, I had a lot of power, depth, and plow through. In fact, almost too much power, which also contributed to that a little bit of adjustment period as my balls were flying well past the baseline the first couple hits. And I had to really focus on generating spin to drop them in front of the court. However, it was a little bit tough for me to generate that spin. Now when I transitioned up to net, I found that there was a couple trade-offs. For the positives, I thought that it was an extremely stable racket. I love that extra ½ inch of length because I got a little bit more reach and got a couple more volleys back than I'm used to. But on the other hand, I thought that the racket was a little bit more tough to maneuver, and I was struggling a little bit in a reflex volley exchange, so I was feeling a little bit late or slow to get to the ball. Now when it came to serves, probably my favorite shot to hit with this racket, I was hitting big first serves, probably the biggest first serves of any racket I've hit with this year. Once I got that racket up and over my head moving, I was hitting really deep in the service box. Now when it came to second serves, I almost had to dial back a little bit because it was really easy to overhit. Now my return is my favorite shot to hit, so with this racket, I decided to keep it simple and let the racket do the talking. I had nice short compact strokes and really just let the racket swing through, not doing too much extra so I wouldn't overhit. Overall, I found this VCore 100 Plus to be a really fun racket for doubles, great serving, great volleys, but for me, I will stick with the standard length.
For me, this racket was all about the power. The extended length really enhances and magnifies a lot of the main attributes of the standard VCore 100. A lot more power, a lot more depth, still great amount of spin, but it also made this racket a little bit more sluggish as well. On my ground strokes, I found really easy depth on my shots, so much so that I felt like I kind of had to dial back my swing a little bit. For those times that I was really taking a big cut at the ball, I felt like I was just launching it more often than I was used to. So I just felt like I couldn't really fully swing at 100% with this racket. Up at net, the sluggishness also I felt was a little bit of an issue for me. I just would have liked it to be a little bit quicker. Although I felt like the thicker beam and the slightly wider head size near the tip made the racket more stable and more forgiving. Like Brittany mentioned, I really did love this racket on my serve. Got plenty of pop there. Overall, I think if you're a player looking to add easy power to your game and a fairly user-friendly 100 square inch, 300 gram racket, then you should definitely check this one out.
Now I typically love an extended length frame because it does add that extra power, and it was really noticeable right away from the baseline. It did take me about an hour, maybe two, to really get used to that extra length. It's been quite some time since I've played with an extended length frame, so it was feeling a little sluggish at first, but once I adjusted and I gave myself a little bit more time, I was really finding loads of power. As the other two playtesters mentioned, also this one offers really easy net clearance. The launch angle is quite generous. I really felt I could open up the court with this racket. To hit those angles, I really did need to be pulled out wide, but the extra length gave me that added angle that I like, and I could really draw opponents off the court and then go to the open side of the court. As I moved forward to net, as the other playtesters mentioned, you do get some extra reach. I'm not super tall, so I was appreciating it there, but when the ball came at my body, I was really feeling handcuffed and I was late quite often. On the upside, the racket was also quite stable when I was mishitting those volleys, so it did feel comfortable. And the ball sometimes was generous with that launch angle was going over the net. And when it came to starting points, I really loved to step up and hit a big first serve. There was a lot of power. I always am looking for rackets that deliver added power, and it really delivered. I did have some issues with consistency, however. That added power meant it was a little bit harder to get the ball to land in the service box, and I was hitting them long a little bit more often than I'd like, and I was having a little bit of a harder time carving around the ball to get some slice action on the serves. On returns, I really did to make sure I focused on mechanics and kept it nice, the swing short and quick. I would get caught late a lot of times, so I really needed to be cognizant there. Overall, I really found this racket to be a fun one to play with. You could play big hitting tennis, but for me, the standard length VCore 100 is a better fit.
Here today to talk about Yonex's new evolution of the VCore 100 Plus. This is the 2023 version of it. No doubt, a half-inch really changes a racket, and if anyone has any question, try playing with the standard length VCore 100. This Plus really enhances and, like Jason mentioned, magnifies the overall power of this racket. I think it definitely gives you extra reach, easy power. I think it's probably ideal for a person that is a stronger player to begin with, just to kind of control all the power that it affords you. But overall, all court prowess. My favorite shot to hit was probably the serve, as with most of the other play testers. The extra length just really gets the velocity going without a lot of effort required. The challenges were to get the ball dipping into the court a little bit. Most of the time, I am just really loving hanging off the end of a racket and kind of put the butt cap in the palm of my hand for extra reach and whip. However, the swing weight was high enough on this racket where I actually found myself choking up a fair percentage of the time. So, backhand slice definitely enhanced, can keep it dagger low, ground strokes, easy depth, but it was definitely a lot of racket for me to handle. Great play test overall.
We strung up the Yonex VCore 100 Plus with Yonex Polytour Drive at 53 pounds. For more information on this racket or any others, please check us out at Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.